Hello everybody, it's TannerFishies here, back again with a new Ninjago video here on the channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at an upcoming Ninjago Season 16 plot point that as of right now in the Ninjago community does not make much sense. And that of course is the return of none other than Harumi. Now Harumi coming back is a pretty big surprise to a lot of people, and her return was seemingly confirmed by the recent set list that was leaked by websites such as PromoBricks, and a recent listing for the summer of 2022 for Ninjago explicitly confirmed that Harumi herself will in fact be in one of the upcoming summertime sets. So all things considered, it seems like Harumi's return in Season 16 is very much likely at this current point in time. And especially considering that these sets are probably going to be for the upcoming Ninjago TV series, yeah, it seems like Harumi is coming back officially in the context of the show itself. But for longtime Ninjago fans, Harumi's return may not make all that much sense because last I checked, Harumi was dead. Back during Ninjago Season 9, I'm sure you guys know this, Harumi was ultimately killed when a building fell on top of her, thus ending her reign once and for all, and further motivating Emperor Garmadon to exact his revenge on the resistance. Harumi's death also played a really big role for Lloyd's character as well, ultimately severing him from that connection, but keeping a large amount of trauma in his head for many years to come. But again, according to the Ninjago 2022 set list for the summertime, Harumi is back in full force. So in today's video, I want to get into some theories as to how Harumi might actually be coming back. We have a couple of different options here that I want to go over in today's video, so let me know down below in the comments which of these options you think is the most likely. And feel free to explain down below as well what exactly you think Harumi will be doing in the summer of 2022. How exactly will she be returning in Season 16? Let's go ahead and talk about it. So the first option that we have is that Harumi is going to be resurrected. Now, resurrection in Ninjago is not unheard of. Garmadon was of course resurrected. It's pretty easy to extract a soul from the departed realm, as was the case during Season 8 for Garmadon. I shouldn't say easy, it was pretty complicated, but we still saw a ritual go down in Season 8 where a soul was extracted from the departed realm and brought back to life in the actual Ninjago overworld. So in the Ninjago universe, resurrection is very much a possibility. I could very well see Harumi being revived by somebody in a similar fashion to Garmadon's resurrection, as I said earlier, but I'm not sure what would go into reviving Harumi. If the reason why she's back is through resurrection, then I'm not sure exactly who would be doing the ritual and how that would be done. Honestly, out of all of the topics that we're going to be discussing in today's video, I feel like the Harumi resurrection theory is probably the least likely option. I mean, Harumi being resurrected, again, it is possible, but I'm not exactly sure who would resurrect Harumi and how that person would go about resurrecting the dead Harumi and bringing her soul back from the departed realm. The second option that we have is that Harumi was never actually dead in the first place, and in fact she was saved by somebody else. I mentioned this in a recent video as well, but Harumi's death during Ninjago Hunted could very well have been a fake out. Looking back at the actual Ninjago Hunted sequence where Harumi dies by being crushed by a building, we never saw a body. The classic rule of film and television is that if you don't see a body, that person is probably still alive somewhere. However, that rule can't really be applied to Ninjago because Ninjago is by default a kid's show. Mistake died earlier in Season 9 as well, but we never saw her body, so using that as evidence to suggest that Harumi may be still alive is not the strongest in terms of likelihood. However, since we still did not see the aftermath of Harumi's downfall, it is very possible that the building could have in fact fallen on her, and she very well could have been near death, but perhaps she was saved by somebody else. In a recent video, as I said, I talked about the possibility of Pythor being the one that found Harumi and slowly nursing her back to health to the point where she was willing to join his side. In terms of whether Harumi is good or evil, there is a little bit of a gray area in that regard. But if Pythor is the one that saved her, I could see Harumi idolizing Pythor in a similar manner to how she idolized Garmadon. In this hypothetical scenario, Pythor ended up rescuing Harumi and nursing her back to health. Maybe Harumi has found a new level of attachment to Pythor, and that might explain her evilness during Ninjago Season 16. We do know that Pythor will be back as well, so it just seems to pretty much line up there. And if she wasn't saved by Pythor, she would have to have been saved by somebody else. Ultimately though, she would have been saved from the falling building, or somebody would have nursed her back to health or something like that. Harumi secretly being alive this whole time is rather possible, but I'm not sure the likelihood of that actually happening. The third and final possibility that we're going to be talking about in today's video is the idea that the Harumi that we see in the upcoming Ninjago Summer 2022 set list, that's actually not Harumi. Instead, that's Avatar Harumi. Obviously, during Ninjago Prime Empire, there was an entire sequence dedicated to Avatar Harumi battling Lloyd. Unagami purposely replicated Harumi's appearance to mess with Lloyd and pretty much manipulate his feelings, and it ultimately led to a Harumi that wasn't the real Harumi, but she still had the same mannerisms, the same design. Overall, this Harumi was pretty much a carbon copy of the original, minus the actual authenticity that the original Harumi obviously had. After the Prime Empire season was all said and done, many of the in-game NPCs that existed within Prime Empire actually entered the real world and went their separate ways, living their own fulfilling lives. The most famous example of this is probably Okino. A similar thing could have happened with Avatar Harumi. After Prime Empire let go of all of its players and all of its NPCs, Harumi could have been among those that were actually freed after Prime Empire was dealt with. I'm thinking that perhaps that version of Harumi started a life of crime similar to the original, yet she's still at large. Ultimately, the Avatar version of Harumi would have went on to replace the authentic version of Harumi, who was killed during Ninjago Season 9. If all this ends up being true, and Avatar Harumi is in fact going to be the Harumi that we see during the Season 16 saga, that would make the most amount of sense to me, and I feel like it would be better on both the fanbase and the show itself. Ninjago bringing back dead characters is always a tricky situation. Sometimes it comes off as those sacrifices or those deaths not even mattering. Sometimes it feels like there's no consequences, and Ninjago is among many shows that suffer from those criticisms. Harumi faced her consequences, and if the Ninjago series is to bring her back and actually bring back the real Harumi, resurrect her, or maybe reveal that she was never dead in the first place, I'm not sure how well that would go over with Ninjago fans, and I'm not sure if that would even strengthen the character. But a lot of people, including myself, love the ending of Harumi's story. Her storyline was concluded during her death in Season 9, and reversing that, I'm not sure how to feel about that. However, if this new Harumi does end up being Avatar Harumi, I can pretty much get on board with that a little bit more than I could with a resurrected or secretly not dead Harumi. Avatar Harumi still has some evil left in her, it seems, and I feel like if she's going to be coming back, I'd be more open to accepting that decision. Avatar Harumi has the ability to become her own character altogether, and I feel like bringing her character through some type of arc in Season 16 would be a very positive decision to make. I think that's the best and most realistic option as to why Harumi is back during Ninjago Season 16. Again, not super big on resurrection, or the plot twist that Harumi has been alive this whole time. I would much rather see Avatar Harumi rise up and take a villainous spot for herself. But of course, that's just my opinion, and that'll pretty much do it for my thoughts here today. As I mentioned earlier, feel free to leave a comment down below discussing what exactly you think is going to be going on with Harumi during Ninjago Season 16. Do you think that the Harumi that we see in the upcoming Summer 2022 sets will be the original Harumi, or will it simply be the Avatar version? Feel free to leave your thoughts down below in the comment section, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video. That'll pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here today. If you enjoyed, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and as always, check out the links down below in the description from other forms of social media. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Once again, you guys, my name is TannerFishies, and with that, I bid you farewell.